Hello, this is BBC World News. I'm Regid Ahmed. Our top stories. Harvey Weinstein is kicked out of the academy that runs the Oscars. It says he no longer merited the respect of his colleagues. Distressing details of a Canadian couple's ordeal emerge after being held hostage in Afghanistan for 5 years.
It will be of incredible importance to my family that we are able to build a secure sanctuary for our 3 surviving children, to call a home, to focus on edification, and to try to regain some portion of the childhood that they have lost.
Thousands more Californians are forced to flee their homes as wildfires spread. At least 40 people are known to have died. Touchdown as one of the world's most isolated outposts joins the 21st century. And up close and personal, we join the Royal Ballet on tour from Opera House to a disused warehouse. Hello and welcome. Harvey Weinstein has been kicked out of the academy that runs the Oscars. In a statement, the board said he no longer merited the respect of his colleagues. It follows a series of sexual assault accusations against the producer, including rape, some of which he has denied. Mr. Weinstein has been denounced by many of the celebrities he launched to stardom and called a depraved predator by his own brother. Peter Bowes reports from Los Angeles. Well, there's lots more on our website. Just go to bbc.com/news. You can find the latest on the Harvey Weinstein revelations, and you can also download the BBC News app as well. And we will be live with Peter Bowes in Los Angeles for more on that story a bit later on. But let's take a look at some of the other stories making the news. Voting is underway in Austria in a snap parliamentary election which could see a far-right party enter government as part of a coalition. Opinion polls indicate a victory for the Conservative People's Party of Sebastian Kurz. Aged just 31, he would become the youngest leader in Europe. Kyrgyzstan's also holding an election to choose a new president. The incumbent, Almazbek Atambayev, is stepping down at the end of the single 6-year term he's allowed under the constitution. Security officials in the Somali capital, Mogadishu, say 2 car bomb blasts have killed at least 30 people. Around 100 others have been injured. The first explosion took place at a busy junction, sending a huge cloud of black smoke over the city. A second bomb in the Medina district killed 2 people. A cargo plane has crashed into the sea off Ivory Coast, close to the capital Abidjan, killing 4 people and injuring 6. All those who died were from Moldova. 3 French soldiers were among the injured. The Antonov aircraft came down near the end of a flight from Burkina Faso, and the cause of the crash is unclear. Well, a Canadian man kidnapped with his pregnant wife by Islamist militants in Afghanistan 5 years ago has given a graphic account of their ordeal. Joshua Boyle said his wife had been raped and the kidnappers had murdered one of the couple's 4 children, all of whom were born in captivity. The family was rescued by the Pakistani military earlier this week. John McManus reports. At least 40 people are now known to have been killed by wildfires, which have devastated a major Californian wine region. Hundreds of others are missing as the fires continue to spread. Large parts of the state, including Sonoma and Napa counties and the city of Santa Rosa, have been affected. Dave Lee has the latest. Let's get more now from Sonoma. We can speak to the city's mayor, Rachel Hundley. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, can you give us an idea of the current situation in Sonoma?
The current situation, we've just gotten through a pretty rough 24 hours. When the wind picked up last night, it reignited some of the fires on the hill, and the way that it was described to me this morning was it was a giant wall of fire rushing down the hill. So it was a busy night, all hands on deck. They even woke up the firefighters who were taking a nap, and everybody got out there, spent all night and all morning fighting it. And I think now we are back to being cautiously optimistic again.
What's the weather prediction, though? Are you concerned that there are going to be more high winds and the fires are going to resurge?
You know, I haven't heard any concern. We knew that last night the winds would probably come, and it came exactly the way that the reports gave. So we were ready for it, but I think we might get a break for maybe a day or two long enough to finally get a hold of this thing.
We've been hearing that there are still some people missing. You must have also been hearing some harrowing stories of people that have escaped, people that have lost loved ones.
Yeah, the people, especially early in the week, that Sunday night, early Monday morning, when it rushed through so fast, some people only had a few minutes to get out the door, and they drove past flames on the way out. And there's people looking for loved ones. I heard this morning that total there was 1,600 missing people, and they've found, as of earlier today, I'm sure the number's different, 1,420. So a lot of people, I think, just got lost in the chaos. But then, unfortunately, as we're finding out that some of the people weren't able to get out of their houses.
So where is your focus now? Is there just more focus on the emergency effort, or is there also a focus on what's going to happen to people who've lost their homes?
So we're still in an active fire situation, and we don't think that we can let our guard down just yet, but we finally do have enough breathing room to start thinking ahead. We decided that school was going to be canceled for the next week, but eventually we're going to have to open those again, which means the shelters that are in the schools are going to have to move. And then also just thinking about all the people who have been displaced and how they're going to be helped and what kinds of funds are going to need. In Sonoma here, they're putting together a program that's going to feed people for possibly 3 to 6 months. So we're starting to look ahead.
All right. Rachel Hundley, the city's mayor of Sonoma, thank you so much and best of luck with the relief effort there. This is BBC World News, the latest headlines. The movie producer Harvey Weinstein has been kicked out of the academy that runs the Oscars over allegations of rape and sexual assault. A Canadian hostage released by Afghan militants speaks about his family's ordeal after nearly 5 years in captivity. Well, let's get more now on that top story, speaking to our correspondent Peter Bowes in Los Angeles. Peter, first of all, can you give us an idea of how significant this move by the Oscars board is?
Well, it's very significant in that the Academy is the leading film organisation in the world. It's very, very influential in this town, and that's mostly because they are the body that hands out the Oscars, the ultimate prize in the film world. And a lot of the key figures that certainly, maybe some that have been linked to this story, but certainly key figures across Hollywood are very closely linked to the Academy. They are members. If you win an Oscar, you automatically become a member of the Academy. So it's a very important group. Their board of governors met. They made this decision very quickly. They needed a 2/3 majority. I'm told that they reached this majority quite easily. It was way over that, a decision to kick Mr. Weinstein out of the organisation.
Peter, it's obviously a very symbolic move, but practically what does it mean when it comes to Weinstein being able to work in the industry?
Well, in that respect, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. It means he's certainly less influential in the business. It means he doesn't have a vote. He has no say in that organisation. He can't vote for the nominations or for the Oscars themselves when they come around next year in February. But as far as being able to work in the industry, I think he already had his problems. He's been ostracised by just about everyone in this town. Of course, he no longer has a job. He no longer has a role in the Weinstein Company, which he formed with his brother over a decade ago. So in that respect, he's lost all of his power in Hollywood. And I quite honestly can't think of anyone right now who'd be prepared to work with him. And that includes his brother, who he formed the company with.
The Oscars board put out a statement and it was quite interesting. They talked about an era of willful ignorance and shameful complicity.
Yes, they did. They didn't mince their words. They were very strong words and essentially suggesting that that era is over, or at least coming to an end. I don't think it's over by a long way, but I think during the last 10 days it has been blown out in the open, this dirty secret, if you want to describe it like that, that Hollywood seems to have been keeping for many decades in terms of how it operates, the casting couch culture that has been around for so long. I think a lot of people are surprised to learn that that kind of culture prevailed up until the present day. But the Academy making it clear that that has to end. I don't think it's ended right now. I think there's a lot of work to be done in terms of people's attitudes in Hollywood, and especially those very important people, those studio heads or the casting directors, the people who have traditionally had a lot of power over, to make it relevant to this case, young actresses who are trying to make it in the business. Attitudes and behaviours have to change.
All right, Peter Bowes in Los Angeles, thank you very much. Well, let's take a look at some of the other stories now. The US-backed coalition besieging Raqqa in northern Syria says that foreign fighters belonging to the Islamic State militia must either surrender or be killed. Syrian members of IS have now left the city in a convoy of buses, leaving only foreign extremists holding out. Meanwhile, Syria has demanded the immediate withdrawal of Turkish soldiers deployed in the northwest of the country. It described their presence as flagrant aggression and a violation of international law. Turkey moved troops into Idlib province on Thursday. Now, it was 30 years ago that one of the worst storms hit the UK. 18 people died and hundreds more were injured as winds reached speeds of more than 100 miles per hour. Just hours before it struck, a certain weatherman told the British public that there was no reason to panic. That man was Michael Fish, and he's been on a journey revisiting some of the areas worst hit in 1987. Now, when you think of the Royal Ballet, you probably think of plush theatres with audiences sipping champagne. Well, now, in a first for the company, they've swapped the Opera House for a disused warehouse. Audiences will now be able to get up close and personal and even follow the dancers around. Wendy Hurrell has been to take a look. Now, before we float off, some gorgeous pictures from the Albuquerque Balloon Festival in New Mexico. It's the largest such festival in the world. 600 balloons take part in the 9-day event with more than 1,000 pilots. It started back in 1972 when just 13 balloons took part, but now it's a lot more than 13 and it's a big draw in New Mexico each October. Some magical pictures there. You're watching BBC World News.